Hello, 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 beautiful people. I am excited to be back with you for another live. We are just 4 weeks away from the Career and Care Summit. So we have been deep, deep, deep into the planning over on this end. Really not any more planning. We're really focusing on execution. And we are just thrilled for the product that we're going to be able to bring in front of you. But we're going to still continue to go live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we appreciate those of you who are joining us live. If you are with us live right now, please do drop your city in the chat. Take an opportunity to let us know where you're joining from and what your name is so that we can shout you out. We'd love to know. And I always say we because my team and I are watching this in separate locations. But it's just me here in this location. But we are still very interested in being able to connect with you and learn who's with us and who's getting this opportunity to get this content live. And for those of you who are watching on the replay, I love that for you. I love that for me too. The replay has been doing amazing things. We want you to continue to share the replay. We think the resources that we are providing here during our lives are phenomenal resources that can be really beneficial. And we just want to make sure that they get in the hands of the right people. And we can only do that with your help. So if something that we've said, something that I've said on the live has really touched you or like struck a chord, and you want to make sure that someone else gets the opportunity to hear that, to be exposed to the programming or exposed to the content that we're sharing, please do share this on the replay. We make the replay available every Wednesday immediately after we record the live. You can grab the replay and then you can share it far and wide. We would really appreciate that. It helps us get the word out for more folks to be able to learn about what we're doing over here at Career Gems for the Journey. And that makes a big difference because we know that you are great people. Folks who are listening here are here for a reason, and that we know that you're connected to other people who could also benefit from these experiences. So we want you to give us the highest compliment, which is to share this with someone else. So welcome to everybody who's joining me live. It looks like Luz is joining me live. Welcome again, Luz. I'm always happy to see your name pop up. It's always a wonderful experience when people stay with us for weeks upon weeks. And Luz and I used to work together a long time ago. So to have people from previous decades in our life come and join and be a part of this experience today is just so gratifying. It makes my heart smile. So welcome, Luz. So we're not going to be with you long today because as I mentioned earlier, we're less than 4 weeks away from the Career and Care Summit. So when I say that there are all of the moving parts and things happening in the background, that's an understatement. So it is not lost on me that I never thought that planning an in-person event was going to be on my bingo card for 2025. You would have never gotten me to say yes to that or believe that a year ago. But here we are now, and I'm thrilled for the product that we're going to put together. I've been able to have conversations with the speakers and the presenters, the moderators, and it's literally going to be fire. So I'm thrilled about that. But we're going to continue our series, and I'll give you a better update on the summit really towards the end of this. But this is going to be brief. So we've been talking about feeling misunderstood or being misunderstood, not feeling misunderstood, because it's not really about you as the individual. It's about being misunderstood and oftentimes how it happens in the workplace. I used the example last week of the Super Bowl performance that Kendrick Lamar put on for the halftime show. And that example really for me resonated, and I got lots of comments and DMs from folks after the fact mentioning or asking questions or agreeing with the sentiment. So the gist of it was, in that example, Kendrick Lamar made some really intentional choices in the show that he put on, in the story that he chose to tell. And there were lots of people who were confused or didn't get it, didn't understand, didn't have enough context, didn't have enough historical reference. There were lots of people who were asking questions or confused, and some of them who were intentionally trying to tear down what was a phenomenal artistic display, in my opinion. And then there were people who got it immediately. There were people who understood, who were listening, who were tuned in, who were on the edge of their seats, who understood the visual, who understood the cameos, the storytelling. There are people who got it. And the thing about it is, your job and Kendrick's job is to produce what you are there to produce. And there will be people who get it. And then there will be people who don't get it. And sometimes that's hard for us to stomach in the workplace, that some people won't get it. And we do a lot of work and a lot of energy, and we do a lot of thinking and strategizing, trying to bring other people on board, trying to bring people along. And I think the effort to try to bring people along and doing work as a coalition and working together and collaborating with folks is very important. I also think that there's a window of time where people will choose to misunderstand, where it is more comfortable for people to remain ignorant or more comfortable for people to not come to the conclusion that you've come to because they disagree or they have their own biases or they have some self-serving motivations as to why they just don't understand. And it's not a matter of capability, it's a matter of choice. And oftentimes, we, as the people who may be producing the art, producing the work, producing the content, producing the quality output, are thinking, how do I just get this person to understand? And I want to encourage us to focus more energy on the people that do get it so that we can build coalition and community with those people. And potentially that impact helps you to grow, helps you to shift your perspective. Because every time we're in the workplace, there are personas, there are personalities, there are individuals who are in the workplace. Sometimes they are raving fans, sometimes they are supporters, sometimes they are fence riders, sometimes they are detractors. And because we can't control what role those individuals play in the workplace, our job is to produce something of quality, something that is anchored in integrity, something that is anchored in what we know is valuable to the organization that we serve, and then to continue to live through that and build coalitions and relationships with people to help that work be amplified by working together and by taking in the feedback, right? By listening to other people's perspective, not just the people who are choosing not to understand, but the people who 100% get it. Because a lot of times we focus more on the naysayers and trying to bring them along than we do on the raving fans or those who are absolutely committed to seeing you be successful. And that does a disservice to those who are committed to seeing you be successful. And it gives too much attention and platform to those who may be choosing to misunderstand. So when you end up in this experience where someone may be choosing to misunderstand, oftentimes the question is, well, what do I do? And what am I supposed to do with them? Ultimately, the work has to speak for itself in those circumstances. And that individual may come along at some later point in time, but it really just depends on the ROI for your energy. Are you prepared to spend hours, months, weeks, whatever that time is, investing in this one individual, getting to understand? And oftentimes it's not just one individual because they have relationships, they may have a coalition, they may have influence inside of your organization. So, what I would really encourage us to do is, are we focused on the mission? Are we aligned to what we've been called or asked to do inside of that organization? Are our objectives clear and we're continuing to work towards those objectives? Because if so, then the right people are on the right track and aligned. And there will always be people that you cannot convince to come along. And that can feel weighty, especially for women in the workplace. It can feel like a lot of weight when someone is unwilling to come along or they intentionally detract or cause you to come off your objective because you're trying to convince them to get on board. That's where conflict can show up in a lot of those instances. And what I want to think about and I want us to kind of work through as we continue this discussion is, oftentimes individuals may try to draw you in to take your focus off of what your real objective is, or they may sincerely want to give you feedback, but we must always think about feedback from the source. We must consider the source when we're taking feedback from individuals at work. Consider what their motivations are, consider why they may be sharing this with you at that time, because ultimately in the workplace, we don't always have aligned objectives. We are not necessarily working on a project that someone who's in another department or in another function is going to align to. So I really encourage us to come back to our mission. Make sure that your reporting structure and the people who you are obligated to are on the same page, that you are all aligned, and make sure that you are essentially considering the source when you're taking feedback from others, especially others who you are noticing are misunderstanding you intentionally and potentially causing conflict as a result. So it can feel messy. It can feel very political. It can feel very territorial. And I'm here to tell you that you're not crazy. It is. It is absolutely territorial in some organizations, and it absolutely can be messy in some organizations. So then I want to flip the script to say, as you start to understand and spend more time in decision making places, in rooms that are new, in rooms that are required of you to be innovative, to do something different, when your charge is something that is unique and maybe something that has never been done before, that is going to make people feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is going to come out in a number of different ways. If you are challenged to disrupt the status quo, to do something the business or the organization hasn't done before, that is going to make people uncomfortable. And for some people, that discomfort comes out as conflict. So I want to get us to a place where we don't perceive conflict as always a negative thing, as something that is necessary to address immediately or to make people feel immediately more comfortable. Sometimes the conflict is really the disruption in the organization that's necessary. And here's the catch. If you've been given a charge to be disruptive in an organization, to challenge the status quo, to be innovative, to do something different, you need the support of others in order for that work to happen. You need the support of your management, of your peers, potentially, of your direct reports. You need others to be in the same boat with you as you are doing something that is disruptive. And I'm not saying it's the person who's choosing to misunderstand you or the team who's choosing to misunderstand. I'm saying there must be a coalition that gets built and there must be air cover that is given to you by your leadership, by those who are going to benefit from when you actually are successful in your disruption. Because I believe in you. I believe that you will be successful on the charge that you're given. And it's the obligation of the people who've given you that charge to provide air cover, to provide support, to be thoughtful, to support you even when people are choosing to misunderstand you. And the thing that can be the most powerful in that is oftentimes leaders don't recognize that they need to provide that extra air cover. And that's when you have to advocate for yourself. That's when you have to go to your leader and say, hey, you gave me this audacious task. I'm willing to do it, but here's what I need from you in order to do those things. Here's the support I need in order to bring this home. Here is the air cover or the timeline or the blocking and tackling that I'll need in support from you in order to bring this home. And hopefully that puts up a barrier to those who are choosing to misunderstand you, or it at least quiets the noise so that you can continue to focus on your task. And if you don't have that, or you haven't had that conversation yet, it is a great opportunity for us to think through what that conversation should look like for you to get the air cover that you need. And if that air cover is coming, then you'll usually be in a better position to actually deliver what you've been called to deliver. If that air cover is not coming, then we have a choice to make. Is this challenge, is this assignment, is this thing that you have been asked to do, is the timing right for you? Do you feel like you have the bandwidth or the wherewithal to be able to navigate it? And is it worth it? If it's important, then the organization will provide you air cover. If it's important, then the organization will provide you with collaborators, partners, a team, a budget, resources. If it's important, those things will come along with the assignment. Those things will come along with the charge. So when you see a conflict or you see someone who is choosing to misunderstand you, walk backwards to say, do I have the resources that I need to navigate this charge that I've been given? And is this conflict just a part of that process? Or is it something different that I need to get addressed? And I need to get it addressed by adding resources or getting new air cover. And that may require you to step back for a moment. It may require you to take a step back to reevaluate where you are right now and what it would take in order for you to be successful. And then do you have what you need to be successful? Or do you have most of what you need to be able to be successful? And these are the kinds of conversations that my clients and I get to have with one another on an ongoing basis. Because when we work together one-on-one, we're able to break down the details of what their experience is and who is a raving fan or who is a barrier, who is a naysayer. And sometimes naysayers are useful. You need them. You need them in an organization. You need friction against your idea. The concept that people will disagree is healthy in an environment that is growing and then an environment that is changing, that's evolving, that's being innovative. So it's our job to identify different types of conflict to see if it's productive, if it's healthy, if it's moving the idea forward, if it's meeting the needs of the organization, or if that conflict is someone choosing to misunderstand you. And if that conflict is someone choosing to misunderstand you, then we have a choice to make. Seek that air cover, seek that additional support, seek those collaborators, those peers, those partners. Make sure that your objectives are clear and well stated, and that the organization has come out right to say, this is what you have been tasked to do. And if that quiets the naysayers, then it'll give you some space to really do what you've been asked. And if it doesn't, then you and the organization have a chance to have a different discussion. Do you have what you need in order to be successful? And I encourage people to think about this as a lot of, we're going into Women's History Month. There's a lot of discussion around glass cliff assignments. I'm not going to go deep into it today. Maybe that'll be another conversation, because we like to think about what would a glass cliff assignment look like, and is the assignment that I've been given something that is going to set me up to not be successful. So I'll give the definition of glass cliff assignments. It's a concept that you are given a role or given an assignment, given a charge, and that charge is one that is so audacious and so big that ultimately you're given a lot of it seems like an opportunity where it may be growth. A lot of people talked about getting glass cliff assignments during big transitions in 2020 and 2021, when corporations were doing DEI and really calling out DEI as a unique key point of differentiation or a business deliverable. So lots of people were given titles or led or joined organizations based on the context that this is going to be a powerful role. We'll have decision-making rights in this DEI space. And then come to find out later, the support wasn't there. The budget wasn't there. The alignment to the long-term strategy wasn't there. So you have the positioning and you have the accountability, but you don't have the tools and resources to be able to do that, to be able to ever deliver. That's an example of a glass cliff assignment. And sometimes when we find conflict or we find resistance inside of organizations, it is an indicator that this is the glass cliff assignment, and maybe the organization doesn't have the support or hasn't really vetted this out with others in the organization in order to get them aligned. And you can't always do that. So here's the gist of it. Conflict is natural in a workplace. It happens, it can be healthy, it can be productive. Our job is to identify, is this productive conflict or is this unproductive conflict? If we can identify it as unproductive conflict, then our unproductive conflict needs to be addressed through coalition, through the work speaking for itself, through air cover and support. If it's productive conflict, then that's feedback that's worth taking, and you should consider the source and let that conflict sharpen your idea, sharpen the work that you're doing, make you a more astute leader, make you more capable of delivering. Both of those require us to take a step back sometimes and reevaluate the circumstances, the people, and the experience that we're having so that we can make a great assessment and decide how to proceed. I want to discourage us from proceeding at all costs, being a wrecking ball inside of an organization. And not because wrecking balls are not necessary, but wrecking balls take hits too. If you choose to proceed without reevaluating the conflict, as you are navigating the organization and knocking down walls or removing barriers, you are taking hits too, whether that's personally in your well-being, whether that's reputation-wise, or whether that's physically as it is wearing on you. And I want to really encourage us to center our progress and our success right next to our well-being. That both and are the way that we identify for ourselves that we are going to be great, that we are going to be whole. And that is really why we put together the Career and Care Summit, because we believe that if you have the support that is necessary in the areas of career, community, and care, especially as professional women in your second act of life. If you have those things aligned, then success is a byproduct of that alignment. And we want to make sure that you adopt a definition of success that's one you can sustain, one that aligns to who you are, and one that allows you to be well, to be healthy, to have a strong mindset, to have strong fortitude, to have strong identity in who you are, and to treat work as a part of your life, not your entire life. So sometimes taking a step back in order to do that is exactly what we need. And I know that that may feel taboo and it may be discouraged in some arenas. So I'm happy to have that conversation. I'd love to hear from folks who are with us live or folks who are watching this on the replay. Have you ever had to take a step back or make an adjustment in order to reevaluate whether or not the challenge or the charge that you've been given is one that you want to continue to pursue? I personally have, and I believe lots of other people have. I've had no less than 8 women connect with me in the last year to let me know that they were taking a step back in one form of another. Whether it was taking a leave of absence, whether it was making an adjustment or taking a lateral move for a role that they felt was a better fit, or whether it was taking an absolute promotion and moving full steam ahead, but doing that after taking 3 months off in between roles because they were looking for a break. So I believe that there's something there that we can discuss. And I would love to hear from folks who are with us live or who are watching us on the replay. Have you ever taken a step back to reevaluate your career, reevaluate your assignment, reevaluate the path that you're on? If so, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Please feel free to DM me or drop it in the comments. I want this to be something that we can disrupt taboos on and we can give some others some support to think about. I'm struggling. I'm trying to make this decision. Is this right for me? Sometimes we believe that we're doing this in isolation and we're all alone. But I'm here to tell you that every time I tell my own story or I hear stories from others, 5 additional women make a similar comment. 5 additional professionals, men and women, make a similar comment. So I think the more we can be in community and co-create these kinds of disruptive discussions that are ideas that need to see the light of day or might have been taboo in a previous administration or generation. Now we're in a place where we want to realign, and alignment and well-being and success are all things that can support one another. They can enable one another as opposed to being in conflict with one another. So thank you so much for riding with me. I appreciate you being here today. I am looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday, same time, same place, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet for the Career and Care Summit, please do take advantage now. We are going to close our ticket sales really shortly here. And I want to make sure that if you're under the sound of my voice and you're interested in the opportunity to be there, you can head over to gemsforthejourney.org/events to find your opportunity to grab your ticket. We are going to have what is a transformational experience for everyone who chooses to join us in person. And I would love for you to be able to share that experience with the other women in the room. We'll be at the Community College of Philadelphia on March 15th, 2025. And we look forward to seeing you all there. Until then, thank you for riding with us. Make your journey work for you.